What were you bullied for? Story 1. I was socially awkward. I also was greatly motivated to be liked. I did a lot of stuff trying to be liked that in hindsight made me unliked. It's such a catch-22. People are drawn to charismatic confidence. Not too much, but just enough is the key. Even if you make a fool of yourself, if you can play it off confidently, then you'll be likable around the right group. It's hard to have confidence if you're not liked. So by trying to be liked without confidence, you actually give off an air of desperation. Desperation gives off a vibe that's noticeable from a mile away to anyone. Desperation just makes people uncomfortable, and that's when people tend to bully you over that shared discomfort. The bullying ruins any chance you have to be confident. The more you are bullied, the more likely you are to manifest a negative view of people around you, and the more likely you are to lash out at people. The bullied can become the bully very quickly, and the cycle starts again. It's truly a vicious cycle. Story 2. Eczema, which often affected my face. Same. I had to wear white cotton gloves to school, and one time a teacher threw away my art project because she didn't want me to infect the other kids. My girlfriend has eczema, and when she was little, she and her mom went to a local Blockbuster to rent movies. A rude lady came up to them and said, "You shouldn't be taking your daughter out if she has chicken pox," not knowing that she had eczema. My girlfriend's mom was instantly triggered and blew up on the lady, screaming at her saying, "I think I would know better if my daughter actually had chicken pox." Story 3. I was called a biscuit head because my head was shaped like a biscuit. Story 4. That was my brother. He had a rare genetic disease called Bloom syndrome. He was only 4'5" and weighed 60 pounds as a full-grown adult. Kids picked on him a lot, and my dad got to be on a first-name basis with the principal for all the fights I got into protecting him. It finally got to the point where I had a permanent chair outside the principal's office. I would look at whatever teacher broke it up and would know if they would send me to my chair or not, and wait for my dad to arrive. My dad would put on a good show, yelling at me saying, "Young lady, you know you aren't supposed to be fighting, let alone fighting in school. You're grounded for 2 weeks." Then when I got home, he would laugh his butt off about being called to school. I was never punished for protecting my brother. After a couple of years of getting their butts beat down, the kids stopped picking on my brother. They knew contending with his crazy big sister wasn't worth it. My brother sadly passed away in August due to cancer, which he was predisposed to from the Bloom syndrome. Those same kids that picked on him unmercifully when we were younger were at his funeral, sobbing their hearts out because my brother became the bestest friend they ever had once they gave him a chance. Wow, what a heartfelt story. You are truly a loyal and loving big sister who didn't take crap from anybody. I'm glad the bullies realized that bullying was not okay. I hope you and your family are doing okay now. Story 5. To this day, I really don't know. Something happened in the summer between 2nd and 3rd grade that made a bunch of people decide that they didn't like me anymore, including my best friend. I only had 2 friends left until my family moved away in the middle of 7th grade. Bullies would follow me home most days, and my mom finally had to verbally Super Saiyan a few parents down the street to get them to take it down a notch. I finally asked one of them what I ever did to them, and they said, "You were born." How do you even respond to that statement? I just got a sharp pang after seeing that phrase again. Wow, this happened to me in 7th grade. My whole group turned against me, led by freaking Karen Swartz. No friends, complete isolation for no reason other than they could. The trauma never left me. It took 3 years to find a few new friends. Flash forward to my grandchild's preschool. Yep, her teacher was the now matronly, unattractive Karen Swartz. She asked my son to have me come visit. I told him to say I didn't remember her. I'm certain she had no memory of her cruelty, and as sad as it might seem, at my now advanced age, I hope life effed her up. Story 6. I was bullied from age 6 to age 13 every day for my surname, a word for a hunchback in my language. My looks, my nature, me knowing English, reading, drawing, and just existing overall. I freaking hated middle school. My mom tried standing up for me, but no one cares in Slavic countries, and the teachers didn't give a crap, even though they saw everything. It's all a part of growing up. My father ignored my constant tears and the terror I experienced in those years. I was attacked, beaten, and targeted whenever I would leave my flat. I was stabbed with screwdrivers and dull knives, chased around the neighborhood by kids on their bikes while they threw rocks at me. I was only invited to birthday parties so that the kids would have someone to terrorize and gang up on. I always hated birthdays, but my mom thought the children would be kinder to me out of school. But that's that. Once I began high school, I was around all new people, and I decided to play a tough girl and stood up for myself on the get-go. But it turns out art school mostly brought other bullied kids together, and I had the 4 best years of my life there with other kind and loving people who just wanted to make friends and have fun. I'm glad that high school treated you right. I wish that all bullied people can have a happy ending, but life can be so cruel sometimes. To all my viewers out there, please be kind to others, and if you have kids, teach them to stand up for the bullied, not be a bully. Story 7. Being poor. And my mom smoked continuously, so being poor and smelly. Kids are brutal. Edit. I just logged back on, and this is humbling. For those that can relate, I'm wishing you all the best for where you are now. We are a product of where we came from, but that doesn't define who we are today. For those that can't relate, I'm so glad you had a different childhood and also hope you are doing well. I knew a girl whose mom chain smoked inside, so the girl always smelled like smoke. One day, she tried using her dad's cologne and sprayed a bunch on herself, thinking it was the same as perfume. But she got made fun of even more for smelling like a guy. Story 8. As a black kid in a predominantly black area, wearing glasses and having braces, being fat, being nice, being smart, liking anime, wanting to be a pilot, influenced by the anime I like the most. But guess what? I'm a pilot now. The sweetest revenge is achieving your dreams. Story 9. Being too quiet. No, I just don't want to talk to you assholes. I was initially bullied for having speech impediments and having to go to the speech pathologist once a week during class. That later evolved into me getting bullied for being too quiet and never talking to anyone. Story 10. That's the question. I have no clue, but they hated me for no reason. Bullies just look for any reason. The reason is secondary to their primary motivation. Basically, the reason isn't even a reason because it's not reasonable. It's just a flimsy or hollow excuse to abuse another person for personal gratification. At my school, a girl got bullied for her hair color by another girl who had exactly the same hair color. In my experience, they try to find out what triggers you and use that against you. Doesn't have to make sense. I was bullied for smelling, and eventually I showered 3 times a day. Parents love that. So in hindsight, I'm sure I didn't smell anymore, but it did get to me. They also bullied me with other things, but to give an idea. Story 11. Being of Indian origin in a 1980s English inner city school. It got bad, and mom got me an actual concealed money belt as I was being bullied for money, so I was starving and beaten up when I got home. Then I discovered boxing. The road to redemption was a bloody one. British public school in the 70s and 80s. Usually, it was 3 against 1, and I had no clue how to fight. Boxing trainer showed me how to punch. One shot to the jaw of the biggest kid was all it took. They all wanted to be my buddies after that. I used to stick up for the other kids who were like I had been. Boxing definitely saved my butt. Story 12. I was annoying. I talked too much. I read instead of running around outside. I clicked my teeth on my utensils when I ate. I hummed bits of songs. I breathed too loud. I asked too many questions. I was awkward. I ate too much. I dressed badly. My entire existence was a constant assault on the senses of my bully. She was my mom. Sheesh, what a turn of events. Parents are supposed to be the ones you go to feel safe, wanted, loved, and cared for. Well, at least the good parents. It's really unfortunate when a child has to be raised by an abusive parent. I wouldn't be surprised if OP cut their mom out of their life when they became older. Story 13. Having red hair. Seriously, I was bullied by grown adults just as often as other kids for being a redhead. Often, people would assume I was up to something or talking back or being bratty, and I probably was, but adults always noticed me first and punished me more harshly than the other kids, I thought. Story 14. Warning. This upcoming story is graphic, so feel free to skip to the next story. I was AR'd by my friend's 35-year-old brother when I was 13, when she abandoned me at his house. After that happened, she started a rumor that I was a whore, and every day at school, girls would scream at me and ask, "How far along are you?" and things of that nature. I got called a whore so frequently that I dropped out due to it. It's alright though. Got my GED, went to college, graduated summa cum laude. I'm smart, I'm attractive, I am happy. They can all F off. It takes a lot of strength and courage to recover from a traumatic event like that. So hats off to you, OP. Story 15. Being anorexic. My school nickname was Skelly, and whenever I used to not eat, they would say I was weird or call me names. When we watched an anorexia video in the health ed classes, they all laughed, asking who recorded me. The girl died. I eventually found an abandoned bathroom and stayed there during meals. The teachers didn't notice or care. My parents eventually caved in and pulled me out. Story 16. I wasn't. I was the bully, and possibly the worst kind. I'd be friends with anybody when it's just the two of us, but anytime that person would find himself on the receiving end of mean jokes, you could quickly find me joining the group that's messing with them. I had zero loyalty in the years from elementary all the way to high school. I was pretty popular at school. I had 4 different tables I could sit at, full of the athletic guys and girls, and be totally welcomed despite not being on any teams myself. But once I was home, you could find me in an Xbox Live party with 6 or so guys that I would lend a hand in bullying, playing Halo with them. Sometimes they'd be pissed at me when I hopped in the party, but I'd always win them back over, one way or another, pretty quickly. I was a massive butt back then. I've reached out to a few of them to apologize since. A few responded positively, one negatively, and one just blocked me without any response. If it's any consolation, I'm a miserable and very nearly a completely friendless loser now. The good thing is that OP has the self-awareness to realize what he did was wrong. It's unfortunate, but sometimes in the heat of the moment, people don't think before they act, and they get peer pressured into bullying. That's the ugly side of humans. People can get gratification from belittling others. It's never too late to change, OP. Just put yourself out there, be kind, and karma will restore balance. Story 17. I was and am a tall, broad-backed, small-breasted, weirdly built female. Kids were convinced I was really a boy. I was assaulted in the girls' locker room by multiple girls who wanted me to prove I had a vajayjay. I was cornered by boys at a football game where they tried to pull my pants down. I had crap thrown on me. Someone pissed on my locker. They also wrote slurs on my locker as well. I was followed, threatened, and beaten on a regular basis. I am really sorry you went through that. No one deserves such a thing. I am a really tall, super broad-backed, and generally weirdly built woman too. I remember walking past windows and seeing my reflection and my classmates. I was so big and they were so small, especially the girls. I was pretty much twice as big as them. I felt like an ogre around all of them, and they made fun of me in not so subtle ways. They even made fun of the way I run. What the heck? They threw papers, rocks, and even sharp things like scissors at me, and on various occasions. They usually weren't so physical though. They made fun of me, called me names, vandalized my belongings, threatened me, treated me like a contagious disease, and really seemed to enjoy that I didn't defend myself other than looking at them angry. They also touched me in inappropriate ways. Nothing strictly sexual, but still not cool, nor consented. Story 18. Speaking up when I was told my opinion was different. Always asking questions. Being an immigrant but looking fairly light-skinned. Being thin to being thick. Having an accent and then losing that over time. Being bullied for having people think I'm pretty while others think I'm ugly. Constantly feeling like a threat because people made me seem that way. Being nice and complimenting people and having people think that it was fake. My hair was naturally auburn. I was bullied because people thought I lied about it. Being vegan, having strong beliefs at such a young age, and having people not take you seriously. The list continues. I probably still get bullied. It might not be in my face, but I see the way people look at me, and I can tell that they talk about me behind my back. Cohabiting space with people who don't like you is hard. Over time, I learned that not everyone is meant to like me, and that's okay. That's a really healthy way to look at things. OP, you are right, that not everyone has to like you. If they don't, so be it. Don't get involved with them in any way. Surround yourself with people who do like you, and you'll be alright. Story 19. For my ears. People said that I look like Dumbo, and these older white kids used to bully me and call me racial slurs because my mom wasn't really into getting us the latest fashions. I used to wear my brother's hand-me-downs, which were a bit torn up or have grass stains because we were both pretty active. Told my wife about my ears a while ago, and she confirmed my ears really aren't that big, which I honestly wasn't sure because I didn't know what were considered big versus little ears. When it comes to clothes, I went on and became a pharmacist, and my wife is an attorney. We make pretty good money, but I still have no desire to buy the latest gear. If I see something I like, I purchase it, but I really don't go out of my way. Story 20. I was always bullied for being overweight and seen as a nerd. So, I'm a heavyset girl due to a medical issue, and I always got bullied for being unable to lose weight. I also was a giant nerd, still am, and I went to a very conservative yeehaw school in a military town. I wasn't normal in their eyes. It didn't help that I had undiagnosed mental issues at the time that were affecting me, but now I'm in college and doing better. Some days are still hard to get through, but they are getting better, little by little. Story 21. My crooked teeth and Coke bottle glasses as I'm severely nearsighted. Got contacts, so that eliminated one issue, but the dental care I need to fix my crooked teeth is so expensive. I'll probably die never knowing what it is to talk, smile, or laugh without feeling super self-conscious. Story 22. LOL. When I was in 6th grade, I had a boyfriend who broke up with me because I like Kingdom Hearts, and that is the nerdiest game ever. And man, he made sure to make all his friends know about it. Was also bullied for having red hair, having freckles, my nose, the music I liked. Kids will find anything to be a-holes about. Story 23. The fact that my head was shaped like how kids would draw a house, but then upside down. Years later, it turned out the ladies actually prefer an angulated head instead of an egg. Story 24. Liking Sailor Moon. I was in 1st grade, probably around 1998. I had a Sailor Moon lunchbox, and everyone would laugh at me. It's cool to like it now. Story 25. Being overconfident at my first school at first. Then I'm not sure why they continued after they broke me down. They'd keep going. Eventually it got physical, then I left. Next school, I was an early developer. Girls didn't like it, guys would harass me. I'd get made fun of just for having panic attacks. 2 schools later, I was more outspoken. I'm naturally loud. Social media made it worse. But the worst bullying I received was at home. Everything I said or did was wrong. I was made to feel like a fuck up all the time, made to feel stupid. That I had ruined my mom's life just by being born. That stuck with me, which meant there was no safe place for me, at school or home, until now. Story 26. For being poor. 3 rich kids from my elementary school were beating me every single day. I did fight back when I could. But it is kind of hard when you're a scrawny, skinny kid, and 2 of them were holding me, while the 3rd was punching me. They took turns. When it comes to bullies, I have absolutely no tolerance for them. Whenever anyone did try to bully me, I fought back. The way I was thinking, I would get beaten anyway, I might as well go down swinging. Eventually, bullying stopped. To top it off, I was always punished for fighting. Bullies were never punished because they were from quote-unquote good families. I learned early that if you have money and influence, you can do whatever you want. There's no punishment and no justice. Full stop. My justice was seeing the bullies go down in flames because of drugs. One of them OD'd. When I heard about it from a mutual classmate, I said, "Good riddance, trash took itself out." They were outraged at what I said. I told them they seemed to forget that said individual, the ringleader of the three, was a piece of poop growing up. He was a piece of poop dying.